Hey guys, so in today's video we are going to be beating all of these lizards here so I can show you how to beat them and what you're going to need to learn how to do when facing them. Alright, so the first lizard that you naturally meet in RainWorld is the green lizard. Now the green lizard is kind of the base lizard, but unlike most every other lizard, they cannot climb. There are a few other ones that can't, but really it's not that they can't, it's more of that they're too heavy too. That's why the green lizard can't climb. They're too heavy. Red lizards sometimes can, but it depends on how heavy the red lizard is. And I'm not sure if caramel lizards can or not. Oh my goodness, I glitched into the lizard, okay. But as you can see here, hitting a lizard on the head's not a great idea because it's harder to hit them. If you slide into it, you have a better chance of hitting them in the mouth. Oh, and I killed this one. Green lizards naturally take about 5 to 6 spear hits. So if you're fighting a green lizard, I hope you've got a lot of spears on you. Right, on to the next lizard. The next lizard in this succession is the pink lizard here. And as you can see, pink lizards can climb. And this makes them slightly more harder than a green lizard, as they can chase you and you can't use the high ground to your advantage. But they take less spear hits than a green lizard. So they naturally take about 3 to 4, and if you're lucky, or you're playing as a downpour slugcat that has a higher spear attack, you can normally get them down to like 2 spears. The next lizard is the blue lizard. Now, building off of what we have learned from the last 2 lizards, blue lizards, as you can see, they can climb walls, but they are much smaller than the other 2 lizards we have featured, and this makes them most of the time a 1 or a 2 hit. As you can see here, I was lucky to get a spear in the mouth, and if you do spear them in the mouth, it almost instantly kills them. And even for other lizards, it can do more damage if you spear them in the mouth. So they can be a formidable opponent if you're not careful, but once you get a spear hit on them, you're practically good. The next lizard is the white lizard. Again, building off of what we have learned, this guy can climb walls and can climb poles. But something I also didn't mention on the blue lizard is they have longer tongues. The white lizard, this is very prominent, is if I go over here. He has a long tongue, which means getting close to them to get a spear hit can be harder. And white lizards can also camouflage, as you saw. They can blend into their background, so they're more ambush predators, which can make it hard to pipe juke them, as you can use pipes to kind of most of the time get rid of one, but white lizards like to just sit at the entrance to them, so it can be hard to get around these guys. Personally, these are the hardest ones for me to fight. I always end up dying to them the most, just because I have bad luck with them. Using a rock in combat can be particularly helpful against these guys, because you can get their tongue off them. And these guys take, I think, about 3 to 4 hits as well. Yep, there we go. And now we will go on to the next lizard. Alright, the next lizard is the black lizard. Now, black lizards, they are some of the lizards that have specific spawn points. You're not going to just find them out in the world like the rest of them. As you can see, black lizards can climb, but they're also blind. They can't see. They have about the same health, I believe, as a pink lizard. So around 3 to 4. But they have the best hearing out of all the lizards. So making a lot of noise, like throwing rocks and spears, is going to attract them. These guys, like I said, they only spawn in dark regions. So like sometimes they'll spawn in subterranean, or other times they'll spawn in shaded citadel. But you don't really have to worry about them anywhere else. So they're not a very common lizard to see. But they are a pretty easy one to defeat because they don't take a lot of spear hits. I would only say they're really dangerous if there's a bunch of them, because they always know where you are. This is another, technically it's not considered a lizard. This is called a salamander, or some people call it an axolotl. This is another lizard that has kind of region specific. They spawn basically only near water, or if you're playing on downpour, they'll spawn during, even in regions where they don't normally spawn, they'll spawn during shelter failures. It's hard to say sometimes. And so, but they're not terribly hard to defeat. They also have that tongue feature. It's much shorter than a white lizard's, but they still do have it. And again, they're pretty much just different adaptations built off. If I were fighting this one in water, it would have been more of the upper hand on them, because I'm not the greatest swimmer. But basically, if you're fighting them on land, you have a pretty good chance of survival. Alright, the next lizard is the orange lizard. Now you're probably wondering why I spawned 3. Now the reason I spawned 3 is because orange lizards are pack hunters. They're the really only other lizard that does this. Black lizards kind of do it, but they don't really work together. Orange lizards work together to hunt their prey, and they specifically like to cut them off. Orange lizards are, again, also pretty region specific. They only really spawn in, like, Sky Islands and in the underside, the underhang in also that one spot of the wall. So you don't see them very often, but when you do, or in the downpour specific regions, and during timelines and stuff like that, they do spawn. And they can be a bit harder to fight because, well, obviously, as you can see here, they do a great job at what they're made for, which is pack hunting. And also, fun fact here, they have a hierarchy system based on those little frills on their head. And so, based on whoever has the longest is whoever is in charge. Again, I'm pretty sure they have the same health as a pink lizard, building off that base of like 3 to 4 spears. Use that spear. Other than their pack hunting ability, they're not terribly hard. If you had just one singular orange lizard or yellow lizard, I'm pretty sure the wiki calls them yellow lizards, but to me they've always been orange lizards. It's whichever you want to call them, orange or yellow lizards. I don't think it really matters. But as long as, if you're dealing with just one lizard, you're pretty much, as long as you're not surprised, you can pretty much beat these guys. They're not terribly hard to beat. But as a pack, you want to be strategic, and you want to make sure that you got all eyes on each lizard at a time. So, like, you got to make sure you're watching out for this lizard while you're watching out for that guy, because they will corner you, so you got to be aware of your surroundings when fighting these guys. You don't have to worry about too much unless you're heading to Sky Islands. Alright, the next lizard is the cyan lizard. I'm pretty sure the cyan lizard is it's not a downpour lizard, but their lovely ability here is that jump. They're basically very similar to a blue lizard in that they can climb walls and stuff, but they have that jump. They have, obviously more spearheads. I think they have more like 5 spearheads, 4 or 5 here. They are like a kind of, what you would say, boss lizard, as like, they only really spawn in hard mode versions of the game. So you won't have to worry about finding one of these guys in your monk or survivor playthroughs, but in most downpour campaigns and in Hunter, you will find these guys. And they can be annoying if there's a bunch of them. But you don't really have to terribly worry about them once you get a hit on them. As you can see, when you do hit them, like you saw with me, if you hit them while they're doing that little, like, jump, you can get them to do this, like, move where they, like, fly everywhere like a deflated balloon. So once you get like 2 spirits on them, you're pretty much almost guaranteed to beat these guys. So as long as you're not dealing with like 6 of them like you do on the wall sometimes during certain campaigns, you're pretty much guaranteed to beat these guys if you know what you're doing. Alright, that's the cyan lizard. Alright, our next lizard is a downpour specific lizard. They're called strawberry lizards. And as you can see, they're very tiny, and that means they're very frail. So you can basically kill them, most of them, in one hit if you're playing as Survivor. If you can get hit on them. As you can see, they have a very long tongue. And they also have the ability to use that tongue as a grappling hook. They don't spawn very often, so you're not going to see a lot of these guys. Especially since they're a downpour specific. You literally basically only see them in Saints campaign. You can get them to evolve. Pink lizards can evolve into strawberry lizards. But they are very frail. They don't take a ton of spear hits. I've had them down to 1 spear hit before. This guy took a little more, so I'm not sure what exactly their spear hits are, but they don't have a very strong bite. They are very fast though, so you have to be careful and know how to outmaneuver them in situations like this. But since you don't encounter them very often, there's not you have to worry about. Alright, our next downpour specific lizard is the caramel lizard. And actually, I spawned in a very pretty one right here. They're not normally this white. I might have accidentally spawned in like an albino one or something. I don't know. But they're very cool. And as you can see, they can spit like this globby stuff at you. And these guys, I don't know if they can climb poles or not. I'm pretty sure they can't because, again, they're too heavy. They're very chunky lizards. Like the green lizard, they take like 6 or 7 hits to defeat. So you're going to have a lot of spears in your area to get these guys. And you also don't want to come in near their bite range because they have a very lethal bite. So getting bitten, you have a very limited chance of escaping. But unlike green lizards, these guys are faster because they have like 6 legs, and they can also jump. So they don't need to climb poles because they can jump. See if we can get this guy to jump to show you. Yep, like that. And plus their spit, they can be a very formidable opponent. These guys can spawn like basically anywhere, but they have, again, like very set spawns. Like you're only gonna find, like, there's that one caramel lizard in this area or whatever. So you don't have to worry about seeing them everywhere, except for like Saints campaign. They literally have defeated all of the green lizards. So unless you're playing a Saint, you're not gonna see a ton of these guys. But if you've got downpour, you will be seeing some of them, and they can be annoying to defeat. So you just gotta be careful, because these dudes can pull off some crazy moves like that. And their spit can be really annoying and can actually hit you off things. So you want to kind of stay out of their eyesight so you can get a drop on them. As this one is... Woo! Push me back in there. This one is being a bit annoying, so let's see what we can do here. Again, since they are very chunky lizards, it does take like, I think 6 or 7 spears for these guys, because they are quite formidable. And the goal is basically just to keep moving. Because these guys are, again, they are slower than the average, like, pink lizard or a blue lizard. They're a little bit slower. But they are still pretty fast, especially with that jump. So they are faster than green lizards, I believe. Whoa. And they can go farther, as you can see. Woo! Oh my. And you kind of just want to stay away from these guys. Confrontation, I would say limit it. But if you got enough spears and you got patience, you can fight these guys off. But I would say kind of just avoid confrontation with these guys. You don't need to jinx it. The last downpour specific lizard is the eel lizard. They're added in downpour. And these guys are basically just a more formidable version of the salamander. These guys only have 2 legs. So you're not going to find them out of water or chasing you out of water. They're basically only scary in water, as the guys are super fast. Again, like I believe they have same health, or maybe slightly higher than the salamander, but outside of the water, they're not terribly hard to defeat here, as you can see. So as long as you're fighting them outside the water, you're pretty much good. If you're in the water, avoid confrontation at all costs. If you see their green glowing head, just leave. Come back later when they're not there. I would say avoid confrontation in the water. If you're fighting them in the on land, as you can see here, they don't take it's not very hard to defeat them. So just avoid in the water. Alright, the next lizard is the final lizard we'll be fighting today. The red lizard. These guys are avoid at all costs, no matter what. Just avoid this guy. You don't want to fight him. They're ridiculously hard to fight, and unless you've got a whole arsenal of spears and bombs, you're basically screwed. These guys are ridiculous to fight, and I hate fighting them. And I only really fight them if I feel like it, or I'm trying to, you know, get, like, it all fancy on my kill count or whatever. But you kind of gotta catch them off guard, which is really hard to do. And you want to have bombs and explosive spears at the ready when fighting these guys. As you can see here, I got a really good hit on them. But they don't get stunned by spears or rocks, so that's out of the question. These guys can do ridiculously fast maneuvers. They're super speedy. They are the one of the fastest, or if not the fastest lizard in RainWorld. And they're also ridiculously territorial. They will fight basically any and all other red lizards in their area. And they basically eat. They're pretty much scared of nothing. So you just want to avoid them at all costs. Do not fight these guys. They can jump. They don't do it very often, but they can. They can jump. They can run really ridiculously fast. They can climb poles, but just certain lizards can't. Like, I've seen some really chunky red lizards that just can't climb poles because they're way too fat. And as you can see, this guy, he is just totally glitching out because I speared him to that wall. But basically, if you can get them speared to the wall, like I have this guy, and they don't decide to escape, you've got a pretty good chance of survival because they can't go after you, as long as you just don't get too close. Because these guys have a 100% kill rate. If you get trapped in its jaws, unlike a green lizard or like a blue lizard or any other lizard, those guys, you have a chance of escaping. If you get trapped in their jaws, you have a chance that some other lizard's going to come and get you and you'll be free, or a scavenger's going to come by and decide to help you out. These guys, there's no chance for you. You've bitten, you're dead. And most of the time, they don't even really eat you. They just bite you to bite you. These guys take a lot of spear hits. I'm not exactly sure how many, but I would say like 7 to 9 spear hits. And when you do beat them, like I have here, enjoy the satisfaction, because these guys are the hardest lizard to beat in RainWorld. You've done it. You've beaten the alpha lizard. You have conquered them, and you can officially say you've got the Dragon Slayer, as you have slayed the hardest of the dragons. Now, technically, there is one more lizard, but I don't count it because it's in the goofball, the secret slugcat, and I don't even want to attempt fighting that guy, so I'm sorry for all of you who wanted to see me fight a train lizard. That's not happening. They don't exist in my mind. You only ever see them as Sothantheal or Imb, whoever you want to call them. So, I'm not going to be fighting them. But, maybe if this video gets to like, I don't know, 70 likes, I'll fight a train lizard until I beat it. If you guys want to see that, please like the video. If this gets to 70 likes, I'll try to fight a train lizard, I guess. But anywho, goodbye, red lizard.